And that brings with it investor confidence, because people are going to want to invest because his name's attached to it. Tom Brady could go to, like done Delta or Undefeated or Nike or all the other partners that we have and say, well, we've got Tom Brady on board. You think, oh, well, he's a global superstar. They will want to be associated with him.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And I think we can all agree as Birmingham City supporters, the impact that Knighthead and Tom Wagner have had since joining the club has been incredible in terms of their sponsorships, in terms of revenue, in terms of the deals that they've been making. And one of the big ones when it got announced was when Tom Brady came on board, owning a 3.3% of the club. And having that influence behind the scenes in terms of, fitness and nutrition and all the things he added to the squad behind the scenes. But we want to discuss Tom Brady in this podcast. And I'm just going to start it off, Dad, straight away with a pretty simple, straightforward question. Has Tom Brady had a big impact?
A much bigger impact than I ever imagined. When he was announced, you have to put it into perspective here, Matt. American football in the UK is not. It's getting more popular and more. I know you love it. You've been to Wembley to watch an NFL game, haven't you?
You have, yeah.
But as a sport, its big nucleus is in America, and obviously there are other countries. But in the UK, it's not that well known. A little bit like football was in America, although in terms of our football, it's getting much more well known because of the MLS and the football and into Miami and all the David Beckham and all this type of thing. And Tom Brady, I believe, is having a similar effect in terms of raising the profile of NFL. Because of who he is, but I was amazed when he got linked to the club because I didn't know, obviously I've known Tom Brady. I mean, you'd have to be on a different planet not to know who he is. But I know nothing about American football, if I'm really honest. And I was really surprised at what the fuss was when he was linked to the club.
Yeah.
But what we're going to talk about today and what he's done and what he's continuing to do is actually quite staggering. And I think that a lot of people don't appreciate what having such a high-profile personality like that is going to do for our club.
Also, Dad, if you're a winner, you're a winner. So it doesn't matter whether you play tennis or golf or football or American football. If you have resilience, leadership, all those quality attributes that Tom Brady has, inevitably it's going to rub off on the club, but the players. It's going to trickle down from the top, doesn't it? And we all know Tom Brady well. We all know when he was brought in, I had the assumption he was going to be sort of nutrition, recovery.
Yes.
And we can talk about some of the stats that he's had since he came in, because I know our injuries have lowered since he's came in and stuff like that. So I thought he was going to be bringing that side. But there's also another side, isn't it? Like the revenue, the social media, the global superstar presence. Like, just case in point, Dad, he posted an image on Instagram, or Blues posted an image on Instagram the other day, and it was the release of the kit saying 30th of July.
He posted that, and Blues reposted
and tagged it, or he reposted whatever, and he got like 1.5 million impressions after an hour or something. It was just wild.
I looked at that yesterday, and it's up to 4.5 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, currently, and that's, we'll talk about that social media in a minute. But you mentioned the fact that he's a winner, and I think that that's really important as well. His profile is enormous, far bigger than I ever imagined. He's a 7-time Super Bowl winner. He had 23 seasons in the NFL. I've researched his career and found out a little bit about him.
How many Super Bowls across those 23?
He's won seven Super Bowls, of which he was 5 times MVP, which is most valuable player, which is a really prestigious.
Yes,
it's like the Ballon d'Or, isn't it, in football? For American football. He's got so many awards. So obviously he's got this status. I see the similarity of his status in America as David Beckham's was in his peak when he was in the UK. Everybody knew it was David.
And they were both watching the Wrexham game together at St.Andrews, weren't they? So it's funny you've made that comparison, Dad, because I agree. It's that kind of global superstar, isn't it? Because Beckham, I remember when I was in Vietnam, Dad, and they said, English, Beckham. It's like one of the first words people learn internationally to communicate in English. Well, not one of the first, but, when they realise you're English in other countries, sometimes it's the Queen or Beckham or whatever it might be. But he's a global superstar, isn't he? Beckham is a brand, not just a name. And Tom Brady is the same. It's the brand he represents, not just his name, but it carries so much weight.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that for me, if I'm going to be perfectly honest here, when he was first linked to the club and you saw him in that first image doing that little video with his Blues top on.
Hey, sports fans, Birmingham fans,
what do I know? What do I know about Sap? Well, I've got a lot to learn that one as well. I actually thought it was a bit of a gimmick, if I'm honest, right? But what I'm actually seeing now and what the way that the club is moving forward and the profile he brings to our club, to a whole audience that we would never, ever get to without him. I'm talking about the American public. And there's going to be like his fans, his NFL fans. I saw people when he first was linked. A lot of NFL fans, American fans, were actually saying that, oh, now I've got a soccer club to follow to watch because they by association will be curious about Birmingham City because of Tom Brady. That is invaluable in terms of what that brings in terms of to our club. We're now suddenly talked about in
Well,
America.
we spoke about this on previous podcast, Dad. Obviously, we're sponsored by Undefeated, which is a streetwear LA brand. And there's people wearing our Birmingham City merchandise in New York and LA, not even realising what they're wearing because Tom Brady has pushed it out to the American audience, and Tom Wagner and Knighthead. And but Birmingham are actually decently big in America just off the back of Undefeated and the merchandise and billboards in Times Square. And that's what that reputation and global superstardom does for you, doesn't it? But on that note, Dad, similar to you, you mentioned about you wasn't sure, or you mentioned about it being brutally, a little bit cringe, if we're going to be totally honest about what it was. And I don't know whether I speak for anyone else in the fan base here, but I'm still adapting to it. I am, this whole American ownership, Blues Wrexham, the spectacle, Tom Brady on social media. I think I'm getting used to our football club actually having a global presence. And Birmingham City traditionally wouldn't really get involved in these sorts of things, would they? Just from the history of the club and where we've been. But it's a new stepping stone for this club. And I know, just for me personally, I'm interested to get other Blues fans' opinions. I'm still adapting to that because I find it strange that we're actually in the spotlight and all these different things are coming to this club.
And you say it's a step up. It's a massive step up. And with the greatest respect, I love the guy, but we've gone from Jasper Carrot to Tom Brady. I love Jasper Carrot, he's a proper blue nose, but it's Tom Brady, and it's like, the association, I've mentioned that word before, I think that's important. He will naturally bring presence to, our presence, Birmingham City presence, to wherever he is, really. Anytime like he puts a social media sort of post out that relates to Birmingham City, it gets retweeted and, and lots of engagement with it. We mentioned that one with the new kit. It was just a box, wasn't it? It was just a box with a lighter. It was quite cleverly done, actually.
Yeah, because the gold was coming out of the box.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the comments, American audience, were saying, "Well, what on earth is this?" and stuff like this. But
again, the questions out there, the intrigue is out there, the conversations are happening, the impressions are going up, and I'd love to know. I don't know whether you have these stats. I'm sure you might not actually, because I guess it's a different ballpark to what we're talking about. I'd love to know, from the posts that Tom Brady's put out, the videos, the social media, what the impressions and the revenue that he's created alone just from his reputation, because I bet it's massive.
I've got no idea what that is, but I totally sort of see where you're coming from because didn't Tom Wagner mention about the impact of social media, of impressions, and about how we were getting paid and stuff like that, and Tom Brady brings with it all of that to him. So obviously he's got a lot of other irons in the fire. Like you said, he's a 3.3 minority shareholder at Birmingham City, but he's got a lot of other projects on. So he's doing a lot with Tom Wagner in other areas, isn't he? Pickleball, which I don't know think about, something to do with onions, and then there's NASCAR. I think they're involved in that, and there was at Le Mans, and so there's stuff. I think they've got a nice little relationship there. But what he does for Birmingham City is much wider. The media coverage, like you said, when we had the Wrexham game at St.Andrews, the profile and the attention that we got was absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy.
Beckham there, Gary Neville there, and. There's all sorts of celebrities there, weren't there? It was almost like, it felt like a bit of a final at Wembley of some kind, because, again, just being at Birmingham City, we're not used to seeing those sorts of names in just watching a game against Wrexham.
Yeah.
It's not business as usual, is it?
No, that was a weird situation, that was, wasn't it? Being at that, thinking, this is like, it literally felt like Hollywood had come to town, it was crazy.
Yeah, because Rob McKennedy was there as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, Rob McNaugh's changed his name. Did you read that? Apparently he's changed his name because people can't say it, as you've just demonstrated.
Exactly.
But one thing you mentioned as well, which I think is really, really key as well, Tom Brady is a winner. His mentality, and it suits Tom Wagner down to the ground, And we know that he's been in contact with Chris Davis. He's been in contact with the players. On occasions when he's over here, he'd go and talk to the players. And you mentioned as well, Matt, and one of his roles is the chairman of the, chairman of the board or something. I'll sort it out in a minute. I've got the name here for you. But part of his role is to look at the health, nutrition, nutrition and wellness part of the club.
That's why I always thought he was going to bring that level, because when you're a superstar to that level, when you're a 7-time Super Bowl winner, you say 7-time Super Bowl winner.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you've won it that many times and you're a champion, your nutrition has to be on point, your sleep has to be on point, your training, everything around it. I'm sure that at Birmingham now they've got those big chambers, that you stand in and it kind of cools you. It's kind of like it has like a cooling effect. I forgot what they're actually called. I bet they've got them there now and all these different things that Tom Brady would have brought because of that winning element to his life and everything that he has bringing with him from his experience of being a champion.
Yeah, and that's really crucial, isn't it? With someone who's used to winning, to bring that to Birmingham City, because we've been prior to last season used to losing. We've got to try and change that completely. He's chairman of what's called the advisory board, so he's chair of that. Now we knew about this because it was mentioned when he came about his role in relation to trying to help the players in terms of they being good health, good nutrition, and recovery as well, because we had a major problem over the last seasons, prior to last season, with injuries and continual injuries, remember?
Yeah.
Now, we did have a few injuries last year, and there was some little reoccurring ones, but overall, it's probably the best year I can remember for a long, long time, and I wonder how much influence he's had in that as well.
I bet massive.
Yeah, I think so.
And also, Dad, I don't know whether you saw this when it got released. He created a finalist. Every club has these, but if you're late for lunch or you turn up without your boots, or a club has a right to fine the players off the back of keeping their standards high. And Tom Brady created a finalist. It was quite strict, actually. It was but it comes back to that thing of him wanting these players to represent a professional football club, have high standards. And I'm a firm believer, Dad, when the 90 minutes on the pitch, it isn't the easy part, but the difficult bit is the training and the preparation and the mentality that goes into football games, And if you're well prepared, it makes that 90 minutes that little bit easier in terms of with all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So when Tom Brady sets those standards and when everyone behind the scenes is expecting a high level, Chris Davies pushes them in training, it just adds to that whole experience, that professionalism, and having an ultimately just brilliant football club.
Well, what you've just explained there, I've tagged as in my research, infusion of a world-class philosophy. That's exactly what it is. It's bringing that first in best in everything to the philosophy of Birmingham. And Birmingham City supporters, I thought he's again, I'm being honest again, 3.3% minority share. I thought he's just going to be a silent partner.
Yeah,
but when you look at what he actually does, all the things we're talking about are real things that he's doing and continuing to do to raise the profile and make us the best we possibly can. He's also brought in expertise as well, hasn't he? Brought in two of his coaches. Alex Guerrero was one of them, who actually is based now in the Epic Performance Centre, isn't he? Working with our players. This is somebody who he was very familiar with when he was in his playing career.
Okay.
He's brought him over here.
What is he like a is he like a mentality? Is it physical? Is it what is it?
No,
Just an all-round kind of
he's
coach?
a body coach. I presume he's going to be like a
fitness and stuff.
a sort of fitness coach, but obviously that with the mentality of adapting the body for this type of sport, and they'll be experts basically, won't they? So it won't just
also,
be a fitness
Dad,
coach.
Football's changed over the years. Football used to be a lot of hoof and hope, didn't it? A lot of long balls, a lot of it was down one end, down the other, like quite chaotic. Whereas now they have to be the ultimate. A footballer now has to be the ultimate athlete, don't they? The fitness and the energy they have in this now high energy, high press game. You have to take everything seriously. Your nutrition, your sleep, your fitness. You have to have the best behind the scenes working with you as well. Because what goes into 90 minutes now. If you take Chris Davies' style of football with the press, and how much energy and fitness and physicality is required in that. You have to be a proper athlete now as a footballer.
Yeah, and also the way in which football's changed now. It's a very energetic, pacey game. There's not much of a slow sort of game anymore. You need the energy and the fitness to do that.
The days of blokes lumping each other in the box. Well, that still happens on corners, but back in I've seen clips from the 60s and 70s. They've quite literally people punching each other, and getting really physical. I know
things were very different.
It was,
you could basically pick somebody up and chuck them in the crowd, and it'd be classed as okay in them days. But it's very, very different now. But you need this higher level of fitness. Something else that Tom Brady brings, which I think is so important and a massive part of where we're going, his reputation and credibility, and that brings with it investor confidence, because people are going to want to invest because his name's attached to it. Tom Brady could go to, like we've done Delta or Undefeated or Nike or all the other partners that we have and say, well, we've got Tom Brady on board. You think, he's a global superstar. They will want to be associated with him.
Exactly.
So just having his name attached to it again brings with it all of this possibility to open up a lot of doors to future investments.
Creates more pulling power as well.
Yeah, and develop those relationships as well, because he's a big pull, isn't he?
Also, Dave, imagine if you're on the fence as well. You want to join Birmingham City, or you want to join. I'm not going to pick a club because who knows what's going to go on in the comments. How dare you pick my club? But let's just say a random club from the Championship, and you've got Tom Wagner. You've got Tom Wagner. You've got Tom Brady. You've got the investment. You've seen what's going on in the sports quarter. You've seen the relationships, the investment, the revenue. It swings the ball massively in Birmingham City's favour when those things happen. And you can't underestimate that Tom Brady's going to have a big impact on that.
Yeah. And
pulling power, it's called.
It is pulling power as well, and the global media attention, it is global as well, media attention that he brings. We mentioned this already from the Wrexham game and everything he does. It just brings that, puts a spotlight on Birmingham City. Something else as well, briefly, that we can't ignore as well, we don't know because we haven't seen it yet, but I believe he's had a big part in the documentary as well, in terms of the influence in it and getting, not that he'll appear in it hugely, but he will be in it. Of course, he will be. But I believe he was involved in setting it all up or getting it off the ground as well. So that was,
and that comes back to my original point, that of getting used to this whole new vision and look of Birmingham City. The documentary, kind of similar to Wrexham, the spectacle of our games, the investments, all these different things. I think we did a video recently even earlier this week, about Wrexham. Is there a rivalry? And we spoke about having that investment, American owners who are going to love that attention. And I think as Blues fans, we have to accept this isn't going anywhere. These, Tom Brady, Tom Wagner, those relationships, that kind of element to Birmingham City is new, it's fresh, it's exciting. Also a little bit, I guess, if you're used to the older ways, a little bit nerve-wracking as well, because you don't know, what that might mean for the club sort of in the future moving forward. But I think for me personally, again, those sorts of things, I'm certainly still getting used to them.
Yeah, me too. I just felt it was like, worth doing this because everybody looks at Birmingham City and Tom Brady, and Tom Brady is an American football icon, but he's not really known for anything to do with football. And I think a lot of people are suspicious over it. But until you actually sort of research what he actually does, it's amazing what he's doing for Birmingham City. And to have him attached to probably one of the biggest names in the world of sport attached to us is absolutely staggering. And that's only going to get better and bigger. And I think that, it's only the Blues are doing this perfectly. They obviously the Welcome to Wrexham season is still on. So they haven't rushed to get our documentary out because they probably think, well, they're probably timing it to maybe just
the new season, maybe.
Yeah, just closer. At the end of that. They haven't rushed to do a tour of America, even though we could potentially do one, realising that we need to build up a bit of momentum first, i.e. have the documentary, get more profile with Tom Brady. Yeah. Then when we go over there, we've got an audience that is going to put us in high demand.
Definitely on the horizon, though, isn't it?
It's
in the stars for an American tour.
I just love the way it's going, and I don't think you can underestimate. And the fact that Tom Wagner brought in Tom Brady is actually a genius. It's a genius stroke. Yeah. Not somebody that we were overly familiar with in terms of his sport, but such a big name and a big profile. It's like somebody sort of in American football team bringing David Beckham in as their ambassador or the minority shareholder in theirs, and using him in the same way to try and get the message over to the UK about NFL. Yeah. So it's absolutely staggering.
Yeah, it's like your Djokovic, your Lewis Hamilton, your Serena Williams. It's like your global superstars of any given sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it matters. That name matters. It carries weight. It has pulling power. It creates investment. It creates confidence, winning mentality. It trickles down the club. And I think onwards and upwards. And I think it's a really important step in this club's future. Actually, the way we're going to have people like this behind the scenes.
Yeah. So next time anybody's wondering what Tom Brady actually does for the club, then obviously we've given a bit of what we think and what we know and what we've researched. But actually, just bear in mind that what he's doing for this club is absolutely massive, and I think we can't underestimate that. And I think hopefully he'll be a big part of our future moving forward.
Great way to end it, Dad, as always. But as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, an Instagram page, and we're also over on Spotify, so you can listen and watch us over on that platform, as well. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press that bell notification so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.